not sure I can make it up this hill. Might have to get the winch out.
After leaving Birch Creek Ranch this morning, we climbed back out of the canyon and are now headed across the desert towards our next point of interest. I've actually got some unfinished business out here. I explored this area about 1.5 years ago in the Forester, but was unable to get to my destination.
I've long wanted to get back out here and get down into the canyon at this spot. This road is definitely a really slow, rocky slog. Lots and lots of big rocks in the roadbed. It took me, I think, at least an hour in the Forester to go about 4 miles. And it looks like it's probably going to be similar today. So we have now gotten to the point where I wouldn't go any further with the Forester because the road gets really steep, and I figured I could get down it, but I was a little worried about getting up it. It was the kind of road that I would have needed some momentum on, but the rocks were so big that I was really worried about damaging something on the Forester.
We've stopped here at the rim where the road becomes a steep trail of loose rock dropping down into the canyon, with what looks to be something interesting a ways below us. We've inspected the steepest parts of the road on foot and feel reasonably confident about being able to drive back up out of here.
So we're thinking to camp there next to those cabins for tonight, enjoy this epic view and let the sun get a little lower. But since I've long wanted to get down here, I want to push a little further down this road and see what it looks like.
This is a dead-end spur, so I'm just going to take a quick peek a little further down while Jason starts checking out those cabins.
I know the camera can't possibly be doing justice to how steep this grade is and how insane this drop off is. And also, it's really loose rock. But I scoped out this section and it looked passable up to a spot where I could see that I could turn around. So I'm gonna go at least that far and then I'll scope out the next section. There's this series of switchbacks going down the cliff here. That view, sheesh. Okay, I can't even make this turn. I'm gonna look and see what it looks like.
Well, it took us a couple of hours to get here from last night's camp. From here, I can look down into the canyon and see some parts of the old ranch.
I can just barely see our campsite down there. I can just see the fire pit and a little path to the river.
Well, I'd say it looks doable. It doesn't look too bad, but ultimately it's just sort of working its way down to the cliff, and I know eventually it comes to a stop. The view's not going to get any better than what we have from up above. It's just going to be a long, slow slog down there and an even longer, slower slog back up. And gas is actually a little bit of an issue. So I think I'm going to call that good. I'm satisfied that I've seen what this looks like and what this road looks like. And I'm just going to work my way back up. It's steep and loose, but first gear, low range, it's crawling right up.
I've returned to the cabins to find Jason trying to fix something on his van.
So it looks like Jason's van may be the next abandoned vehicle down here, because I'm not sure he's going to be able to get back out.
Well, we've had rain, fog, and sun, and now we have wind.
These cabins are not particularly old, but are nonetheless part of the local history, erected and eventually abandoned by miners who had staked claims on the veins of jasper running through the cliffs below us.
This one is really carved right out of the rock. Man, what a crazy, inhospitable place to try and live and make a living. I mean, unbelievable view, but just the exposure up here and just the work that they were trying to do here, mining jasper, I mean, that can't have been an easy life.
So I'm sitting inside of Jason's van. I just heated up a can of chili tonight. The wind is relentless out there. Trying to accommodate my...
Morning brings with it our most colorful sunrise of the entire trip.
right, so we are getting ready to head up out from those cabins. Dang, that was a piece of cake. How would the Forester have done coming up that road? The thing was, it was steep, and to keep the Forester moving up over some of those bigger rocks would have required a little momentum. And then, you know, the car starts bouncing up and down a little bit, and it starts coming down on some of those rocks. And that's the kind of situation that I was afraid of to drive my Forester down in there in the first place. We're almost back to some sweet, smooth gravel road.
I'm so glad I was finally able to get down to those cabins and spend some time enjoying the incredible scenery, so different from other stretches we've seen of this canyon. Now it's time to move on and see what else we can find along the way. Actually, that felt a little short and unsatisfying. Let's just keep on going here.
Oh, that's a little better.
Yeah, it's almost like driving on pavement, so nice.
So we found ourselves back out into some really beautiful, wide, open grasslands. We're kind of trying to make some miles today. The last couple stops have all been fairly close together as the crow flies, even though we had to we had to log some miles up and down some gulches. So today we're hoping that we can really get overland, make some progress across the desert here, and get into some new areas to check out. This segment that we're doing today does take us across some patches of private land. Now, I've not always had the best of luck. So far we're finding open gates and the roads are going through. Hopefully it'll keep going that way today. Well, this has turned into a interesting little two-track going right up over this mountain, it looks like. I'm curious to see if this road is going to go through.
It's impossible to tell with the camera mounted on the truck, but this is a much bigger and steeper climb than we expected, and both of us have shifted into low range to get up this hill.
Well, so we didn't luck out on this one after all. Too bad, because what a cool area. And what an amazing, amazing view. Well, this part of the route did not work out as planned, but it was still a fun little drive up here and just a stellar view.
If we could just stay at this angle for the rest of the drive, I have a lot more fuel.
We are now backtracking out from that gate. I think we're going to pretty much have to drop all the way back down to the sort of main gravel road we were on earlier this morning. It may mean that this whole segment of the route is we're going to have to come up with a different approach to it. But that's why we're out here. Get this stuff figured out. Part of the problem out here is that because of the river and the canyon and some of that just crazy terrain out there, there's no way to get from point A to point B. There's a lot of little roads up in here, but they all dead end.
So, did you drive this road here?
I think it's the only choice at this point.
We've plotted a detour, which may ultimately be for the best, as it's allowed us to make a short side trip into Jordan Valley to fuel up and grab a few supplies. We just have to work our way through some farmlands to get back over and reconnect to our route now that we've bypassed the gated area we hit earlier. We've once again overlapped a segment of my first trip out here. We'll be passing close to Leslie Gulch soon. We're not going to drive down through the gulch today, but if you get out this way, I would highly recommend taking the time to check it out. It's a dead end out and back that goes all the way down to the Owyhee River, but it's a well-maintained gravel road with some of the most striking and magnificent scenery you will find in Oregon. Footage doesn't do justice to this compelling terrain we found ourselves in. Be sure to watch Jason's videos over on the Primal Outdoors channel, as he shot drone footage of this drive, which will certainly give you a better sense of how intriguing this landscape is. It's now late afternoon and we've started poking up some side roads looking for a spot to stop for the night. We found a pretty decent campsite. It is a bit windy out there. I'm going to take refuge inside the canopy for a little bit. Actually, sort of miscalculated on my dinners. I'm running low on dinner food, but I haven't really been cooking all of the breakfasts that I thought I would cook. Most mornings I've been eating so well at night that I'm just not super hungry in the morning, and a bowl of yogurt and granola has been hitting the spot just fine. So I've got some eggs, I've got some sausage. I'm gonna cook that up for dinner tonight if the wind lets me. And we found a little spot near our campsite here that's sort of some rock that's sort of carved away, and we're gonna tuck down in there, make a little fire out of the wind, and enjoy the evening.
Sort of that rainy night, that foggy morning. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
I've got camp all packed up, and as I was kind of poking around, taking a few last photos, something caught my eye in the dirt. A little piece of obsidian, which seemed out of place out here where there's no obsidian, there's all of this sort of orange sandy rock. And sure enough, it is an arrowhead. So that's a really interesting artifact to find. Artifacts like these are part of the history of this place, and they belong to the land. So when you find stuff like this, look at it, enjoy it, take some pictures, but then leave it where you found it. That way the next person who comes along can also discover and enjoy the history of the place that they're in. So I'm gonna go tuck this back in the dirt where I found it.
While we're some distance from the river here, we're effectively following it on a roughly parallel path out through some beautiful country that is new to both of us. We were expecting this leg of the trip to be little more than rolling hills of sagebrush, so we're very pleasantly surprised to find ourselves driving through such interesting scenery.
Man, the drive just got epic. We're coming down this little shelf road. We are now rejoining the Owyhee River. This is where it widens out into a reservoir. And this road, I believe, is going to wind us down right to the water. Bottom of the canyon. We're actually hitting a bit of paved road here. Oh, that feels really good. So that is it. We have reached the end of this segment of our route. We are back at the Owyhee. The reservoir is low. There's the river. There's the canyon. It's time to air up and head home.
I hope you've enjoyed this series. Expeditions like this, and the subsequent hours and hours of editing, are made possible thanks to my Patreon supporters, Jackery, and the ads you see when viewing my videos on YouTube. I am grateful to you all for your ongoing support of Softroading the West, and I look forward to bringing you more adventures soon. As always, thank you for watching.